Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. While I get the introductions started, if you could please take this moment to silence your mobile devices so we can avoid any interruptions and keep a smooth program with the time that we have together here with our guests. My name is Isaac Facio. I'm Associate Conservator in Textiles here at the museum and Senior Lecturer in Fiber and Material Studies. And I'm just really happy to see that we have both communities here and to visit with our guests today. So thank you all for being here. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to today's conversation between our dear friends and colleagues here on the stage, Maria, Eduardo, and Melinda. All of us who have gotten to know each other through our dedication and advocacy for textiles history, and our own studio practices, and through what has become a crossroads of many specialties under the umbrella of textiles, the Textile Society of America, where I now serve as president, and Melinda as our immediate past president, and Maria and Eduardo as longtime partners. Aside from TSA leadership, Melinda Watt is our leader in all things textiles here at the museum, where she is chair and Krista C. Mayer-Thurman curator of the Department of Textiles, a role that she has held since joining the museum in 2018. Melinda was curator of European textiles and supervising curator of the Antonio Roddy Center at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. She was co-curator and author of the museum-wide collaborative exhibition and publication Interwoven Globe, the Worldwide Textile Trade 1500 to 1800 in 2013 through 2014. Her debut exhibition in Chicago was Morris and Company, The Business of Beauty, which opened at the end of 2021. Followed by Fabricating Fashion, Textiles and for Dress, 1700 to 1825, which opened in 2022. She was part of the organizing publication and multifaceted exhibition, Geoswaby Fresh Up, opening here in Chicago in April of 2023. Today, we celebrate the opening of the newest exhibition, Threaded Visions, contemporary weavings from the collection, which opened earlier this year, and gave way for highlighting recent acquisitions of special focus, a very special weaving, White Dwarf, created by our honored guests, Maria and Eduardo. María Dávila and Eduardo Portillo are master weavers, artists that use fiber that carry a story of every phase of their artistic practice. Their work revolves around the interconnectedness of their experience with people, place, landscape, as well as the materials and processes that bear the imprint of their investigations. Their travels across China, India, and their own homeland of Venezuela have a crucial impact in the development of their unique expertise. Their work, is part of public and private collections worldwide, including the Whitworth Art Gallery in the UK, Longhouse Reserve in New York, the Cooper Hewitt, the Toledo Museum of Art in Ohio, and now by us, the Art Institute of Chicago. They received the Smithsonian Artist Fellowship in 2017 and were artists in residence at the Joseph and Annie Albers Foundation in 2018. They raise silkworms, their own wool, indigo, and native plants found in the mountains of Merida, Venezuela, in the Andes where they live. Eduardo and Maria will give a presentation of their work, and then they will have a conversation with Melinda. Afterwards, we look forward to taking questions. So, listos? Venga. Now please join me in welcoming María Dávila, Eduardo Portillo, and Melinda Watt.
Thank you very much. My name is María Dávila, and together with Eduardo Portillo, my husband and partner, we have dedicated ourselves to the extraordinary world of textile for many years. to the way of thinking in which ideas are expressed following the multiple paths that textile show to us. We live and work in Mérida, Venezuelan Andes. We are very grateful for the invitation of the Art Institute of Chicago to come and be with you all today. Thanks to Melinda Watts, and thanks to Isaac Fascio and the wonderful team of the Institute. The textile language uses the alphabet of the tactile, the visual, and sometimes the sound. Its appearance is known to us, and its materiality talks about important issues that can be of historical nature or touches our time. The dimension of textile is immense and profound, and it is connected to everybody, everywhere. Our practice is based on the observation and research that we do outside the studio, crossing geographical areas, places, and nature that talk to us, sharing with people in a common space and time. And here in this image, you can see our work, Sierra, that talks about the mountains where we live, just in front of our house. In our beginning, the root was detected by silk. The soft and shiny material guided us to textile worlds and to the roots in agricultural production, which is why we raise silkworms since 1983 in our farm and studio in Mérida, Venezuelan Andes. We brought the first silkworms from Canary Island. We raised them with mulberries tree planted 100 years ago. Then we went to study sericulture, silk production, and silk weaving in China and South India. Upon our return, we faced the challenge of the introduction of a new culture with such complex processes like silk. Then we established our silk farm and a textile studio. After many years, we make a journey to the Orinoco River Delta. That's in the east part of our country. A new world was opened for us when we realized that after traveling so far to many countries in search of silk, we haven't not seen what was nearby, what it was evident. We found the Venezuelan vegetable fibers. These fibers come from vines, palms, agave, bromeliads, shrubs, and tree barks. These are little known to most Venezuelans, but have a great importance to the communities that process them due to the immediacy of their use and their cultural and economic value. They use them for basketry, ropes, hammocks, roof, ritual objects, and many others. Most of these fibers are collected. Few are cultivated. Each one contains a specific information about its origin and the culture of the people who transformed them. We found not only materials that will allow us to broaden our spectrum for our textiles, we also found a diversity of people, customs, and way of life that we didn't think would exist. Once we came back in the studio, we experimented with them. We tried to understand their textile qualities and to find a way to fuse them with other fibers like silk, wool, linen, and cotton, trying to preserve their characteristics of each one and allow their difference. This has helped us to merge the most traditional processes with contemporary textiles. This image that you see here is Morich, palm fiber, and silk. So we try to blend them, and each one keeps its own identity in this weaving. At the same time, we work with natural dyes and devote a special time to the indigo culture that we found in Thailand, Southeast China, and India. We were looking for blue in our landscape, and we realized that we only can find it in the sky since we live in the mountains. We decided to merge all our previous projects, the silk, the vegetable fibers, the natural dyes, and we create a mosaic of different layers of experience for a body of work trying to express our search about blue color at home. So we start to recreate, for example, in this image, the 4 moments of the day, at dawn, at midday, in the evening, and the night. And also we made a mid-afternoon sun. Later, we start to explore with patina process in copper, strips to mix them with metallic threads, and we had woven stainless steel using silk and Morich fiber as support. Then we began to experiment in a bronze foundry to imagine the passage of time in our textiles or how they would look like many years in the future or as archaeological remain. We experimented with the textiles to find shapes and volumes. This is our Eve, and our next slide is a red dwarf. Red dwarf is a kind of a star that is difficult to see in the sky, and this textile was completely covered with cement. At a certain moment, due to the growing political conflict in our country, we sought refuge in the mountains and began to travel to places farther and farther away from our home, but within our region. We visited many remote places with rugged landscape, places where people continue to live recently, understanding their geographic and cultural space where they live. During 2014, we found a way to express our concern about what's happened and is happening in our place. The political and economic exhaustion, the confrontation, and the uncertainty produced by the power structure that had pushed millions of Venezuelan countrymen to look for hope on other latitudes. In one of these trips, looking for meaning, we found a very long line in the mountains. Thank you. This line, like small dots in the mountains. Like a human drawing on the topography, and we wonder what could be this. These are called pit fences. This fantastic and laborious idea of using the void as a border surprises us. The pit fences are made of hundreds of consecutive deep holes measuring approximately 1 meter wide by 2 meter long by 1 meter deep. They divide spaces and prevent cattle from falling off cliff. We got impressed by the capacity of these people to give solution to a problem in a place where stones or wood were not available. In our search for refuge, we imagine entering through these pits to the underworld and passing instead, find a place without apparent tensions, the universe. This universe that you can see in this image is what we find in the head of the people in that mountains. Imagine we can see inside, what is inside. The search for peace and freedom may be an illusion that keeps us alive, and we express this idea in imaginary celestial bodies, such as nebulas, space remnants, and white dwarfs, as part of our imagined cosmos project. Here we can see our first nebula is a piece like the white dwarf you can see here in the exhibition. It's made of silk, wool, Morich fiber, and metallic threads. This is our new nebula. Also, it's a natural dye. This is the blue nebula. And the next one is a nebulosa in Spanish, a nebula. And this is our migrant nebula, nebula migrante. And here you can see also a detail of this work. Also, we made moon coats and a detail of a moon coat. And this is the nebula, white dwarf, that is here in Chicago. But what is a white dwarf? White dwarf is what stars like the sun become after they have exhausted their nuclear fuel. As a result of the social political conflict in our country, many of us, like white dwarf, have felt an emotional and a spiritual exhaustion, and sometimes our remnants float in different places of the world. But this situation does not avoid our life from taking billions of years to disappear. We continue traveling and interacting with the people that surround us. Our woven world is here in these mountains and also is everywhere. In small spaces, there are safe territories which help us to build deep interconnections with life, family, friends, and nature, giving us the guidelines to follow in the midst of turbulence and change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria and Eduardo. And I want to just thank you again for accepting the invitation to come to Chicago. I also want to explain to the audience that Eduardo and Maria's work, White Dwarf, is really the seed from which the project Threaded Visions grew. And I am, again, delighted and grateful to have your work in the collection. Thank you. You have described your dedication to textiles and your travels and your research. You're clearly involved in every step of the process as you are making your work. And this, I think, must take up most of your time in your lives. Can you tell us about the rhythm of the work as it forms part of your life from season to season and from year to year?
Okay. We have to say that from the very beginning, we try to devote more of our spiritual and physical work to our daily life. We have been very fortunate to be able to live from what we do in weaving. We only do weaving all the time. So we spend most of our time doing what we like most. Also, I would like to say that we managed to arrange this form of life, trying to make a planning of everything we have to do, because our country only has two seasons, a dry season and a wet season. But due to climate change, now all the seasons are mixed and the frontiers are blurred. So we can do our work all year round. We can grow our silkworms all year round. So we have to divide our time to do all this work. And of course, living in such a place with an eternal spring, it seems like something very good, but at the same time, you have to be careful because timing, you can do for a very long time a project without having a stop.
So one of the most impressive features of White Dwarf for me is the combination of the four very different fibers: the silk, the Morich palm fiber, the metal, and the alpaca wool. And I want to ask you if it's accurate that each of these has a special significance for you. It seems that they do. And if you could talk about what the significance of these materials is in their combination.
Yes. As we have been many years in this, each yarn has gone to our studio in a separate time of our life. We started with silk, which is so difficult to use. You have to give all your effort to produce it, even to weave it or to dye it, to understand the material. But at the same time, it was a very nice time for us because the silk took us to many places to meet many people everywhere, different culture, different language, different approach, different way of living. This is the silk, more maybe 15 years we devote to silk. After 15 years, we get up and say, we have to go to another fiber. Yes? Then we went to the south part of South America, to the Andean countries, and we found the alpaca fiber, which is really beautiful. And when we went to Peru and Bolivia, we found a different world, completely different, everything. Because in Asia, you need a frame for your room, you need a house, you need a roof. But in Los Andes, you walk and you go spinning and you go weaving, and your weaving you keep it in the back, and you continue thinking about, and the approach is completely different. After spending many years in Asia trying to understand warp and weft, all this knowledge was useless when we went to Los Andes. We have to start again. So from that moment, we started to use alpaca fiber too. So for us, it was very important time too. And then we add the Morich palm fiber, which is in the next. This is the palm. It's in the Orinoco River edge because the Morichales is the place where the Morich grow. Most of them grow in the edge of the river, Orinoco River, another river in the same area of the Orinoco. And the people who live there, and this is the Guarao people. The people, for them, the Morich palm fiber is very important because it's the tree of their life. It gives you food, it gives you wood, and it also gives you a fiber to produce hammock and other things. And the silk come together with the Morich, and the Morich is very important now because you can see, like in this piece and the next one, it is a cosmic ocean that we had made. So the texture and volume is coming also from the Morich because it's inside down. It is covered with copper leaf. And the next, you can see here another cosmic ocean version that we have been, because we always think in an imaginary world. The reality is too hard sometimes. So we have to imagine another kind of relation and world. So this is a cosmic ocean. So you can see the Morich, and now you can see the silk and metallic. And the next one, you can see also the metal yarn, because then we went to Europe to study printing, and we found a completely different language to use the yarn. This is the textile industry yarn. They are coming from metals, especially copper, and we also used some covered with gold and leaf, gold leaf. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking about the fibers. Again, that was one of the features of White Dwarf that really appealed to me. I've seen some of your work, and you've shown us some pieces that have metal thread elements that have become larger and wider, and other works that are even more sculptural and as you say, are dipped in metal and look like they're sort of frozen in time. I wonder if you could talk more about the goals of using these metals and what type of metals that you're using.
Sí. Textiles are naturally three-dimensional. So in a way, it's easy to figure how to mold and how to move with the styles. In this image, for example, we start using copper strips, bronze patinated with another metallic yarns. And also we use another kind of metal. This is stainless steel trying to use their capacity, their rigidity of this metal, along with the movement of the Morich and silk. Also, we use metal to covering a certain parts of the weaving with gold sheets, or also with silver sheets, and also we use copper to cover and patinate it over in the weave. Of course, this leads us at the end to go to a foundry and try to understand all the process of the foundry, and we create our encontradas. This is like what we say before, how it would look like our weaving in a future. And using textiles, we started to prepare molds and making different kinds of sculptures. Also, we used metals to talk about the pit holes, the fences we found in the mountains, and how they prevent cattle to fall down. This is one of our bronze. And also we make it of this in a very small size, like a phone size. Like it was used thousands of years ago by Sumerians to write what they want to say. This is our universal watch, and the kind of work that we were doing with bronze and metals is a contradiction to textiles, but at the same time, the textile is the foundation for this work. So for us, it was, and it's very interesting still.
Thank you. Your home and your community and your country are clearly very important to you and have a very strong effect on your work. These places are part of your identity, both as people and as artists. And I wondered if you could share with us how the geography and the geology and the biology of your work of the home is reflected in your work.
We live in a place very diverse, naturally diverse, and people is diverse too. And we always try to understand the relation of the geography and the people. Somebody called this human geography. Human geography is very important for us. It's a very close relation, the place and the people behave and way of thinking. You have seen in the part of our country is, I have to say that it was like a discovery, because we were many years outside our home. When we came back, we discovered a new place for us. It was like a journey. We came back to start again. And we moved from one extreme to another of the country. The previous one was the jungle, and this is the mountains, very near where we live. This is the mountain too that influence to the people that is our neighbors, the people who are our peers, the people, our community. This is our community, because it's quite complicated sometimes to think about, but we try a lot to be close. We inspire a lot about festivity. This is a festivity for harvesting once in a year. These are our 2 oxen from our home. The oxen, once in a year, we go out and you celebrate the harvesting of flour and food. We always inspire also in animals, even a rock is very important for us. All this information come, and then we imagine a place. We imagine a place and a way of life and a world that give off peace, maybe peace, yes. Okay.
I can't thank you enough for sharing so much about your lives and your work and how they intersect. But one further question along those lines is, I'm wondering about your thoughts about how textiles and textile making help you connect with your community. I know that you're very interested in education as well.
Sí. Sí. Well, our community is very important for us.
Yes.
And when we said to work with the community is something that is easy to say it, but it's difficult to do, to connect with people, with different people. And there are also many levels of community, our neighbors, our colleagues, and also there is a broader community that is everybody. We like very much to share with the community, with the people who wants to talk to us, and also we like to talk to them. And so we open our place to receive people. And we have been doing this for many, many years. What are we doing now? We found a way to connect with them more. Not only we do a talk, but also what we want is to share the moment and the opportunity to touch and to feel textiles and textile processes. And this is how we do in our home. We open to the public and also to schools to visit and see the silkworms. And these silkworms are not for production, they are just for people to go and touching them and to experience with them. And also they do weaving. A lot of children go and spend their time in our place. And this gives a big opportunity, it's a big vehicle for us to share with people. See?
We are looking only to share. We are not looking to get people expert on silk or maybe on weaving, on art. This is, for us, it's a vehicle to talk. So we receive a lot of people, and through silk and textile, we can talk about many issues. Many issues. It could be political issue, it could be economic issue, it could be history, culture, and we could exchange. So it is, for us, it's very nice because it's very easy for us now, and for many years has been, to be close to the place where we live. That it is important for us, very important.
Thank you. I have one more question that your conversation about your travels and then your rooting in your home has made me wonder if there is another part of the world that has affected you most in all of your travels. I will say to the audience, we've had the opportunity over the last day to look at some textiles in the department with our colleagues, and we've been looking at some textiles from India and from other places. But I wonder if there is another place after your home that has been a source of inspiration, if you could talk about that.
Oh, yes, like India. We were there many years. We were there very young. It was like a mark in our heart. Yes? So it was nice because we learned there to be happy, to understand the scarcity and solve many problems. I think we cannot live without this. We could not live with this without this experience. We could solve many kind of material problems. I'm not talking about not having material, I'm talking also about accumulation of material, but in a certain way that you keep your heart, and this has been very useful and very inspiring for us. We feel very tied to them. Yes?
You know what people always say about India, you love it or you hate it. And definitely
we love it and hate it.
Sometimes we hate it, but really we love it, and it was a very strong experience and also a very human experience. And as Eduardo said, it teaches us how to become even difficulties. The most important thing, I think, is to share with people, to be close with people, and it gives the power and to go forward and to move forward, even if there is a lot of difficulties.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Matilda.
I think we have some time now for questions from the audience. So I would like to ask our colleagues we have two colleagues who will be passing microphones around. So if you have a question, if you could please connect with one of them so that everyone can hear your question, that would be great.
Thank you. Yes. I'm wondering, what is the division of labor between you two?
La división de labor.
Us. We do whatever we have to do. Yes. Sometimes I cook, sometimes I dye, sometimes I weave, Maria design, or maybe we have discussion, we have to read, we have to write. We have to do both the same. Yes. Sometimes, for example, dyeing, you have to prepare a bath. It will take 2-3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. So one of us have to take care. For example, for silkworm, there is a strict division. It is about 3 weeks, very intense, because you have to feed them 4 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 4, 10, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and 10 o'clock evening. So 4 times in a day during 3 weeks, you become mad. So after 2 weeks, we divide. And when they come to be like teenagers, so she hand to me, and I manage the spinning and all these things, and Maria take care when they are very small, choky, because it's very, very delicate and complicated, and she's better than me in this.
I have a question, but it's more about your artistic practice. So when I see your two-dimensional work, for me, it's look very much like a abstract painting. It's really beautiful and really profound. And I just wondering, when you making those two-dimensional work, do you actually sketch first, or you make yourself as a painter when you looking, touching those material, or you actually pre-design and you know what exactly will look like from the beginning to the end? That's my question. And then secondly is, I would recommend you to come to Taiwan, because every Taiwanese kid seems, I think at 9 years old, like my experience, for some reason we have to raise the, silkworm baby for our class. Yeah, so I kind of feel, welcome to Taiwan, but please answer my question. Thank you.
Thank you. When we have an idea, yes, we do a lot of sketch, hand painting, but even you can do so many wonder things, but at the end you have to fit the possibilities of textiles. Textiles give you many possibilities, but at the same time has a rule. Is a kind of place that you have to fit. So we try to escape a little bit these regulations, and our weaves, like you saw in the gallery, is a triple weave. So it's like weaving 3 times the piece, and it gives certain freedom for color moving. But also, so we create another layer that we call bridges. So inside the bridge, we can change color and try to be the most faithful we can to our sketch.
Yes, yes. Probably we think that we can do wonderful things, but to do and to get the result is a different story. So we have to be, as Maria said, faithful to technique and to improvise and creation. All these things, mistake, all these things are there. But after you start a weave, you can't stop. Nothing is there. If you make a mistake in your drawing, the mistake will come up. So, and for Taiwan, we would love to be there. Yes.
My question is, how did you two get together and found weaving together? At what stage did you meet and then say, I want to do this together and create these beautiful textiles?
¿Cómo hicimos para estar juntos? Sí.
Oh. We have to be faithful too. Yes. Yes.
Well, it's not easy to have both the same. We have different points of view, and sometimes one different intensity of what is important in a weave. But at the same time, weaving, as I said before, have certain rules and certain directions that it can be, you can say it's a barrier, but at the same time, it's a path that you have to follow. So it is not that difficult for us to be in agreement, because this path is marked by the styles.
Yes. Maria loves symmetry, and I love asymmetry. So, yes, and in the pieces are both. You can see the pieces are both. Always, always. In every element, in every the way of using the tools, the fibers. In some places, some step is completely symmetry and completely asymmetry in the same. Yes. So each one has its own space.
Hi. I would like to hear more about India. And did you go there on a work trip, or was it more of like a vacation that turned into work, or like what spurred the traveling around? Was it the weaving, or did the weaving come after?
What?
Thank you.
We went to India because sericulture is the agriculture part of textile for silk rearing and to get silk through silkworms. Sericulture is a very important part of many agriculture people in Asia, for many farmers. And because it's so important, United Nations, Indian government, and other Asian governments had made programs for people to go and learn sericulture, silk reeling, but not at farmer level. They want to prepare people in technical and in scientific level. So we went there in one of those programs that at those times, in a very long time when we went, was financed by the Swiss government with the Indian government. So we went to a research institute, and we do our outside practice. We have to go to see farmers and also to the industry to see how it works and make our reports, and it's like a career there. See.
Yes, very nice, because they have you have a period you have to be close to the community and try to help them to solve problem. In one of these period, we went to a small town trying to help them to solve a developing problem, or maybe design problem, or maybe agricultural problem. And they have the problem that when the jackfruit, it's a fruit from Asia, grow, the elephant come, and many elephant, 40, 50 elephant, and come to the town for the jackfruit and destroy the plantation, the silkworm houses, their houses too. They asked us to what can they do? So we learned that some problems have no solution. Yes, it was important too. We cannot solve that elephant will come and destroy all these things because it's natural. So I think that for us it's very important to understand that something that is there that we don't like, sometimes we cannot do anything. This is very important too, even in weaving.
We have another question on the left over here.
Thank you. Hi, Maria and Eduardo, thanks for your presentation. It was really beautiful work. I noticed, thanks again for presenting. I noticed that there's a use of the grid or a grid in a lot of the work, such as nebulous. And then some other work, the grid is like very loose or very tight. And I was wondering if there's supposed to be like a specific reading of this linear or orthographic composition technique. For instance,
The use
is
of the
there a
grid.
way in nebulous that we should read the grid?
The grid, yes, la retícula. Ajá. Well, all the work has a grid, yes, and it's formed by the Morich pulp fiber. And sometimes you can see more rigid and sometimes more loose. It depends how the space we give to the difference of this, the silk and the Morich pulp fiber. They behave very differently. So the more space we give to the silk between Morich, she will move and make a round. And if we leave it very tight, nobody will move. So it depends how we prepare the warping and the sketch of the final draft that we want to make.
I'm a weaver, and so I'm interested in technique and the kind of looms that you use. And also, I think you said that you weave it 3 times. So I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit more about your technique.
Yes, yes. Well, a triple weave is like a complicated weave, but after you understand it, it's not that complicated. Only you have to devote time. First thing you need is the adequate loom for doing it. We have this 24 shaft loom, so we have the capacity to do this triple weave, and besides have an space, some shaft for the Morich pulp fiber. And when you do this, what we do to play with colors is to have 3 different color warps. And usually there are a white, a black, and a yellow warp. So we can do all color mixing. And of course, the Morich, it goes only in 1 layer, but it's always used in between this mosaic of 3 layers. And because, as I said before, the difference of the tensions in the fibers give a space for the silk to move or not to move, and so we can make rounded mosaics.
I want to add that each layer for us has been also like the fiber is a part of our life, because when we started with a very simple lay of weave, the loom was very simple, but the result should be also simple. But we also always we were looking for beauty or fineness and all this kind of thing, even if it's a very simple weave. Because if you see the mosaic, there is this triple weave, but between each Morich is coming the plain weave, sometimes the twill, but this talk about simplicity also, because day by day, year by year, we were learning and learning more, so we were adding a layer of knowledge, and sometimes you could become ambitious, like a knowledge accumulator. And at a certain point of our life, I'm very happy to say, we stop it and we say that there was no use to go onwards. It will be better to explore all that we have at that moment. Then we started a different search than just knowledge. We wanted to give, to have, to convert this knowledge in something useful, or maybe beauty, maybe.
All right, we have time for about 2 more questions. Yeah.
I was wondering how long it takes to weave each like individual textile that you display.
Sí.
Long time to draw and short time to weave. Yes. Yes. Yes, it will take maybe 6 months, maybe sometime, or maybe 2-3 years thinking what we will do. Drafting and all this kind of thing, it will take also some months because we do a lot of trial and experimentation. In the middle of the project, we decide that not to go ahead with this project and to go to the right or left and start a new, completely different. After some years, we take again back to the original project. We are faithful with our ideas, but they are not as fast as we would like they could be. Yes.
So there is an old saying, I don't know here, that said people from Venezuela said when they're weaving their basketry, it says weaving and sing. And I think once all is settled in the loom, it's easy. You have to concentrate and weave and sing. But before it's getting, if you have to dye, you have to make your yarn, you have to prepare the warp. All the work before weaving is a very long and tedious work. But when once it's in the loom, it's an easy part.
You can sing while you weave. This is the meaning. Yes.
All right. Hi. First of all, thanks for the talk. I just wanted to know the process of the worm. How does this work? Like when they're born, you put them somewhere for the silk to come out, or how does it work?
Sorry, is your question about raising the silkworms?
Yes, yes.
Oh, and how you get the silk
process,
from
yeah.
yeah. So raising the silkworms and then extracting the silk when it's ready. If you want to explain that. Yeah, how do you do that?
You see, the principle is very basic. It's very simple and have been developed for the last 10,000 years in a different way of technology. The silk is a filament which is coming from the gut of the silkworm. A continuous filament that could be 1,500 meters without breaking. So the filament is coming out completely. You don't need to do the fiber like in wool that you have to spin, or cotton you have to spin. The filament is coming from the cocoon. The filament is the silkworm spin the cocoon. It is like a prime with the gum, which is called sericin. Yes. So because they start to weave very beautiful, they start weaving in hammock when they start, and while they sleep in the hammock, they start to weave like an 8, like an infinite. Yes, an infinite. So with his speeding the silk in an 8 with gum, and after 2-3 days the cocoon is ready. The butterfly will the silkworm will become butterfly within 2 weeks. Before the moth emerge, we have to sacrifice them. This is the awful way. There's another way that you allow the moth to go out, and then you spin like cotton. If you want to take the filament, you have to do reeling. Yes, you boil the cocoon in water. The water will dissolve the gum. Then you pick the filament. You just pick the filament. Maybe 20 filament or 70 filament. Yes, together will make you a yarn, which you have to reel, and it will give you in your hand. Yes, very simple, but a different level of technology. Then all this yarn, you have to twist, you have to double, you have to prepare, you have to dye, warping, then go to the loom, and finally weave. While you think, this is.
Okay.
I Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you most of all to Maria and Eduardo. Thank you, Isaac. And if you haven't seen the exhibition, please do visit tonight or some other time. Thank you again.